IslamNet is establishing the first of its kind mega mosque, think about that, and Dawah Center in Norway. If you donate to support this cause on behalf of your parents, Allah will inshallah build a home for them in Jannah. Because the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, whoever builds a mosque for Allah, Allah will build a house for him in Jannah. So you can inshallah help your parents earn the eternal home in paradise right now by clicking the link below.
You would obviously seek justice.
Yes, I would.
Exactly. It's same. It's the same. A sin.
You didn't understand the question I asked you, did I? Do you think it is just? Listen to the question. Listen to the question.
Punish sin.
Wait. Listen to the question first.
Because the wages of sin is death.
How do you punish sin? How? By killing an innocent being?
By death, yes.
Yeah, but why an innocent being? Why don't you? The accountability is on the person who committed the sin, not on the innocent person.
Because the sin was imputed to God himself. So God himself had to take responsibility for that sin and become the bearer of sin for the world.
Let me ask you this question.
Listen, I'm answering you, brother. You're not going to do the same with me. I'm answering you. You don't want to accept it. You say, listen, okay, I don't believe it, but okay, that's your question.
No, you did not even understand the question.
Forcing doubts on the scriptures, forcing doubts on the fact that someone had to pay the sins.
Yeah, that's the question I'm asking you is this. Can God in Christianity forgive without spilling blood?
No, because the God of
was that a yes or no? I didn't hear that. No, it was no.
Because he had to punish. He has to punish it because he's a just God, brother.
No, I said, can he forgive without spilling blood?
Can he forgive? No, he can forgive.
He can forgive without spilling of blood?
He can forgive because he's merciful. He can forgive because he loves you, but he's also just. So he needs to judge and punish the sin.
Okay, and where is
if he doesn't judge the sin or punish the sin, then he won't be a just God, brother.
How is killing?
Now let's go for the last.
No, you haven't finished the answer. How is killing an innocent man justice? How is it?
Killing an innocent man, brother.
Was Jesus innocent?
He was innocent, but he willingly went to the cross.
That wasn't my question. Whether he goes willingly or unwillingly, by the way, it was unwillingly, because in the Garden of Gethsemane, he basically begs God to save him from the cross.
No, he didn't beg. He didn't beg, brother. He didn't beg. He was
did he not put his forehead on the ground and tell God, and he cried tears, he was sweating tears of blood?
Yes.
Sorry, he was sweating blood, basically?
Yes.
Yes? I call that begging. If that is not begging, I don't know what is begging.
No, but he didn't, he didn't say, oh please, I don't want to die. He didn't say it.
Well, he wouldn't say it in your language, would he? He said, take this cup away from me if it is your will.
Yeah, but to establish
let thy will be done, not mine.
To confirm your point, brother, Jesus would have had to say, listen, God, why am I being punished for this?
No, he didn't say that.
No. I'm not saying he did say that. I'm saying for Jesus to prove your point, he would have said, Father, I don't want to die for the sins of the world.
Maybe
why are you condemning me?
Maybe you're not understanding the point.
Then you will,
look, maybe you're not understanding.
You will have some
you know what willingly means? Willingly means to do something without questioning. Yes? Jesus in this case not only asked God to save him from the cross. Let me finish. I'll let you finish. Let me finish. Jesus did not only ask God to basically just save him from the cross. He basically pleaded with God by putting his forehead on the ground. Yes? And he said, let this cup pass from me. Let thy will be done, not mine. Yes? Which basically shows that his will and the will of God is different. Do you agree?
The will of him is no, it's not different, brother.
Why does he say let your will be done, not mine?
Because he had a mission to complete.
Yes.
That we already read in John 5:30.
Trying to bail out from the mission at this point?
No, bail out.
Well, he's telling God to take this cup away from me. He is trying to bail out.
But that's your interpretation of that, brother.
Okay, why don't you read the verse and you tell me what he says? If you think I'm just cherry picking or I'm just taking it out of context, you put it in context and you tell me exactly what Jesus does during that point in time.
Okay, anyway, that wasn't the main point of the discussion was the context of 5:30 and why Jesus, if he's God, he didn't know the last hour.
Yeah.
That was it.
So the 5:30 we have already dealt with.
The two main reasons. So basically,
do you think we have dealt with it?
To resume John 5:30 is that Jesus has the same authority as a father because he can do.
Except he can't do anything by himself. He's dependent on on God.
During his ministry, he was doing what the Father was telling him to do. He was talking what the Father was everything, because Jesus is the visible image of the invisible God.
Okay, you said during his ministry. Let me ask you this. Did Jesus come to the earth by his will or was he sent here by somebody else?
Why is that important?
Because you said during his ministry he was listening just to the Father. I'm asking you now, before his ministry, did he come by his will?
Well, the Bible doesn't say whether he came by his will or not.
Well, it does. It does. If you read the Bible, it does. Jesus says, I've not
said-
come by my will,
Yes.
but by the will of the one.
You send me.
Exactly. So don't say the Bible doesn't say it. It does say it.
Right, but okay, so it does say it.
Okay, so before the ministry,
Does say
he
it?
was still subservient to Father, to his God. Yes? He says,
He-
I did
he-
not come by my will. That means his will. If he wanted to
was
come
sent,
here,
he
he
was
didn't
sent,
come by
he was-
that.
he was
He
sent by the
came by the.
Father.
Yes, exactly. He was sent. That's a very good word you use. Because when you send someone, you're commanding someone. Yes? Jesus did not come here willingly. He did not come by his will. That is the important thing. Even before his ministry, he was subservient and subordinate to the Father. He was seeking, he was basically obeying the command of God. Now let me ask you, after his ascension. So we have dealt with before he came to the earth. During his ministry, both this time he was actually dependent and following and subject to the command of God.
And
Now
doing the
let's,
things that only God can do.
no, no, no.
Yes.
He cannot do.
You're not going to dance around with me on John 5:30, brother.
But John 5:30, give me the answer already.
Already read to you the
Yeah.
whole passage where Jesus was doing all these miracles, and this was
Was he doing
making
it?
the Jews upset because he was working during the Sabbath.
Was he doing it by
So-
himself though? That's the point.
Brother,
Was he
he was-
dependent on someone or was he doing it by himself?
Brother, please.
John 5:30 gave you the answer already.
You don't have to believe it, brother.
It's not about me believing. I'm telling you, read your Bible.
I'm not here just to basically read you the context of John 5:30, right? And then you can either accept it or not accept it.
Look, it's not about me accepting or not. I'm asking
Is
you.
that Jesus was claiming to have divine attributes,
No, he
only
did not.
attributed to God.
He did not have any divine attributes.
If I read to you that the dead will hear his voice, that he's going to resurrect the dead, that he has been given all judgment by the Father.
And
I
at
mean,
the
come on, brother.
look, at the end he says, I can by myself do nothing. You're ignoring that bit. I know you don't like it.
No, because
You're ignoring it.
Because
What you're doing is you're cherry picking verses which you like.
No, you are cherry picking words.
How?
Because you just basically read the John 5:30.
You don't like that, do you?
Because it's out of context. You're taking it out of context.
No, it's
brother.
not. The context you gave me, the context
The
is above
context
that.
is it, yes.
The context about
Yes.
that he does
And then
all these
yes.
things which the Father also does. But then at the end, he gives you the reason why he does them. Because he by himself cannot do these things. He has to depend on someone who's a higher authority. You know where this is explained? Wait. Do you know where this is explained even in more detail? In the book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 22. Read it. Acts 2, 2:22, yeah.
2:22.
Yeah. That basically gives you a much clearer picture of what Jesus is and what he's capable of doing.
22. Men of Israel, listen to these words. This is Jesus the Nazarene, was a man appointed to you by God, with miracles, wonders, and signs that God did among you through him.
Yes.
So
who did the signs and the miracles?
you yourself know.
Yeah. Who did the signs
God
and
was
miracles?
given up according to God's determined plan and foreknowledge.
Yeah.
You used lawless people to nail him to a cross and kill him. You read that? You use lawless people to nail him on the cross and kill him. That same passage that you are appealing to in order to prove that Jesus was depending on God, which I
You
agree
completely
was.
ignored the beginning, isn't it?
Brother, please, you know that's why we
Acts 2:22. Did you read it? Did you understand it?
Condemns your Quran, condemns Muhammad.
Now
and
it's going to a
condemns
different
Allah.
tangent now.
No, because
What did you do? Jesus is a man appointed by whom?
by God.
But I thought he was God. He says he was a man. He was a man. He didn't say he was a God appointed by God. He was a man appointed by God.
a man
Who
appointed
was he?
by God.
Just a man appointed by God. And who
He
do
wasn't just
and
a
who
man.
did those miracles and wonders? Who did it through him? God did it through him. I know you don't like that. That's the reason you went straight to the crucifixion, resurrection bit. Because you know you like that bit. And this is what I'm saying. Instead of you arguing, instead of you disputing what I'm telling you with regards to the context of the verse about Jesus not being able to do anything by himself because it is God who's doing it through him, as it says in the book of Acts.
But why are you ignoring the fact that he can do only what God can do, brother?
No, he can do only what tells him to do.
Just as
Read the book
Father-
again.
Brother,
Read Acts 2. Looks like you didn't read it properly. Read it again. Acts 2:22, the one you just read.
It's like, okay, like I said, brother, you don't have
No, read it again. Read it.
You don't have to believe it, although you
You
should
see,
believe
the
it.
reason you don't want to read it is because
look,
you know it clearly says that he was just
He has-
a man appointed
and
by
he
God.
has granted him the right to pass judgment because he is a son of man. Do not be amazed at this, because a time is coming when all who are in the graves will hear his voice, the voice of Jesus, and come out. Those who have done good things to the resurrection of life. So basically, if
But he does-
Jesus was just a man, brother.
Look, the important
If
thing.
Jesus was just a man.
Yeah, go on.
If Jesus was just a man, brother, the things that he was claiming would be idolatry. It would be blasphemy, because Jesus was basically saying, listen, it's like me saying, I'm only a man. I'm a human being. I sin and that.
Yeah.
But I can do whatever God can do.
Yeah.
I can resurrect. I can give life. I can resurrect the dead. I can forgive.
Why didn't he just say he was God? If he's capable of doing all that, why didn't he just say, I'm God? Because you know, many Christians actually give this reason, that the reason he did not say that is that because he would be killed instantly. If that was the case, why didn't the Jews kill him instantly
The
there?
reason why he didn't go around saying, I am God, worship me, brother, because
Yeah.
for a first century Jew, that would have meant that he was claiming to be God the Father.
Why?
Because
Why would they think that?
Yahweh was like a father to his creation, to the Yahweh himself says, Israel, you are my firstborn.
No, I know they believe that Yahweh was a father. Even Jesus believed that. Jesus said Jesus said to Mary Magdalene, I go to my father and your father.
Your God, my God.
My God. What does my God mean?
Yes.
When Jesus says my God, what does it mean?
He had a relationship from eternity past, brother.
What kind of relationship did he have with his God?
Father and son, brother.
No, that was in the first when he says my father. He says two things. He says my father and then he says my God.
My God and
My
your
father, wait. My father, that relationship I understand is a father-son relationship.
Yes.
But what is the second relationship where he says my God?
My God and your God.
What does it mean, my God? When Jesus says my God, remember Jesus is fully God.
You know
This
why?
fully God,
You know why?
I didn't ask you why. I'm asking you what is the understanding of your relationship?
Because
It was an example, man.
if say God, let me say again.
When he says my God, what does it mean?
Yahweh is God of all flesh.
What do you mean? What do you mean God? How many gods are there?
Yahweh
How many gods are there?
is one God. Don't answer.
No, but I want to understand. When you say Yahweh is a God of all flesh,
Let me bring you back to the topic of this conversation, brother. It's not about the Trinity. We agree that we're not talking about the Trinity. We're talking about the concept of John 5:30 and why Jesus didn't know the last hour. Those are two topics which we have. Not the Trinity.
you're struggling with John 5:30 because John 5:30 clearly says, I can of myself do nothing. Even after, let's say, look, even if Jesus said that he has the attributes similar to that of the Father, he does similar to things that what God would do and no one else could do, at the end, it destroys your argument when he says these words, I can by myself do nothing. It destroys your argument.
Because he was a human, had a human brain.
Yeah. Was he God at that time?
Listen, brother.
Was he only human or God as well?
He was connected.
Yeah.
He was connected.
Yes.
Brother, so listen.
Can
So
intervene. Why not?
I explain to you the context of John 5:30, brother, in which Jesus is claiming divine attributes only attributed to God. Whether or not you want to believe that or not, based on the fact that Jesus cannot do anything by himself.
Doesn't
or
sound
that
like
he's
God
a
to me.
man, that's completely
If anyone tells me that God says I can of myself do nothing, I will say that is not God, because no God would say that he cannot do anything. Even you cannot say that as a human being, that I can do nothing.
Okay.
I mean, this just shows that
I think
Jesus Christ himself is trying to tell you that there is someone of a higher authority without whose permission I can do nothing. Okay? I think we are going in circles with John 5:30. Let's go to the next verse, which is the Mark 13:32.
Or the hour.
Yeah, you want to move to
last
that?
hour.
Yeah.
Let's move to that.
Let's go there.
Let's go last hour. Okay. The second point that my brother Hashim likes to use. Oh, okay.
Has it been 40 minutes already? Seriously, wow.
The last.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly. Yeah. So the last point that my brother Hashim likes to use in order to disprove the deity of Jesus is that he wasn't all-knowing, because Jesus didn't know the last hour.
And the Holy Spirit as well.
We are going to talk about Jesus.
No, we're going to talk about both.
No,
if you're going to bring the verse, I'm going to take the whole thing in context.
Okay, okay. I got the truth and I got nothing to hide. So let's address that.
Good. So go on.
During his ministry, would you agree that Jesus was using parables? When
Yes, he was.
For example, he was.
Yeah,
Wasn't he? Okay.
he was.
So the last days, Jesus was comparing it to a Jewish wedding, where everybody will know it's happening. You know, it was the community will know it's happening, and it was a big event. And
What is the wedding in that? Is it in that context or is it somewhere else?
no, I'm explaining you why Jesus didn't know the last hour, based on the biblical passage where he says only the Father knows.
No, the passage about the wedding, is it in the same chapter or is it different chapter or different thing?
I'm explaining to you.
No, but I want to know where it is. So because I want you to bring the context within what Jesus is saying, not something in a completely different book. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Go on.
That's what I told you. Jesus was comparing it to a Jewish wedding. Okay. At the time, brother, it was a big event, like today. The wedding was a big event. The father of the groom, brother, was was responsible for the main organization of the wedding, which included obviously the food. There was no fridge at the time, so they have to obviously prepare the food well in advance, all the animals and stuff. Plus, the father of the groom will also have to build an extra space in the house for the newlyweds. So out of respect and out of courtesy, they gave the father of the groom the right to announce the wedding, right? Because of the fact that he was organizing the whole wedding, making the extra room in the house, and so on. Which means that the bride and the groom would have known the date, but out of respect, they will give the authority to the father to announce the wedding. That's what Jesus meant by saying only the father knows, because he was comparing it to a Jewish wedding. So of course he would have.
Where is this Jewish wedding passage? Show me.
He would have known.
Show me this passage. Where is it?
He would have known. I'm explaining to you the context of that.
No. Show me where is this. Where did you get this story from?
Where I get the story from? I get the story from the biblical scholars. I don't know.
So it is not in the Bible. So it's not in the Bible.
No, it's not in the Bible.
Okay, so how do you know this context? Wait. I want to know how do you link the context? That's fine, biblical scholars or whatever scholars. I want to know, how do you know that this is what Jesus meant? Do you know what Jesus' intention was? Do you know his mind? Do you know God's mind?
Brother, I have explained to you that it was biblical scholarship, that this interpretation has been unpacked.
But how? I want to know how you make the connection. You can't just bring up some story and say this is what Jesus meant. I want to know, based on the Bible, how do you connect that story of the wedding, or the Jewish wedding, to that of what Jesus said? Jesus said very clearly, yes, no one knows the hour. Not the angels in heaven, not the Son. So when he says not the Son except or only the Father.
Only the Father.
Yes. When he says only the Father knows, was Jesus telling the truth?
Only the Father, of course, but he was comparing it to a Jewish wedding.
No. Look. I don't buy this Jewish wedding thing because it's not in the Bible, first and foremost. Secondly, I want to know, even if it was by the scholars, I want to know how they link it to this passage. Because nowhere in that passage that I've read, there's any mention of any wedding. Okay, so what you're doing there is just trying to basically build up some cock and bull story just to link the two and try to make some sense of it.
That's why at the beginning of the conversation I said, was Jesus using parables during his ministry? You said yes.
No. Parable has a meaning. It doesn't mean a Jewish wedding.
Well, he was comparing it to a Jewish wedding.
No, that's your understanding. Look, I'll tell you what, you can have a valid point if you tell me where you can actually link this in the Bible. But you're saying it's not even from the Bible. It's from outside the Bible. Now the important thing is this. When Jesus says he does not know the hour, are you saying he knew it? And yet he said he didn't know the hour. So Jesus deliberately lied.
Only the Father knows.
Are you saying Jesus was deliberately telling lies? That he knew the hour, yet he said he didn't know the hour?
Well, he was giving all authority to the Father based on
when he knows something.
Listen, I know what you're telling me, bro.
Yeah.
Basically, you try to force doubts whether Jesus was lying, was saying that he didn't know the hour when he knew the hour.
Force doubts? I don't have to force doubts. This is what Jesus says in the Bible, that he did not know the hour. You're the one who wants to put a spin to it and say, yes, he didn't know the hour, yet he lied and said he didn't know the hour. You're making Jesus look in a very bad light there by saying that he was being dishonest and knowing the hour, yet he's saying I didn't know the hour.
Okay, did Jesus ever say, me and the Father are one?
In what context?
Did Jesus ever say?
He said that in John 10:30.
So by saying that only the Father knows, he is putting himself with the Father there, because he and the Father are one.
One in what? I asked. That's the reason I ask you, in what context? In John 10:30, when he says the Father and I are one. No, it doesn't.
One in spirit,
no, it can be one in purpose.
One in purpose.
Yeah, one in purpose. So why do you? Wait. He was not equal to God because he did not know the hour. Unless you're telling me Jesus was telling lies there.
The Jews must have been crazy for trying to kill him, brother.
No, the Jews give the reason why they tried to kill him.
Yeah,
if you want to go to that passage,
he was blaspheming.
Yeah, why?
Jesus was blaspheming, first of all.
Was Jesus blaspheming, or this is what the Jews said?
According to the Jews,
yeah,
Jesus was blaspheming.
Exactly, according to them. You're right, yes. Right.
Because he was making himself equal with God.
That's what their claim was.
Yes.
Exactly. And what did Jesus respond to that? Read the next passage, John 10:34, where he says, yes, that the scriptures cannot be broken. He points you to Psalms 6:30. Psalms 8. I forgot the verse even now. Psalms 82:6. That's the one. Yes, he's trying to say that they were called gods. He's pointing to the elders, the judges. Yes, he says they were called gods, and all I say is I am God's son.
Yeah.
He did not claim to be God. He's saying he's basically telling that he's just like those people who are called gods. I'm saying I'm God's son. I'm not calling myself even God, but I'm just saying I'm God's son. And he did not claim equality with God. So basically that blasphemy.
So what you're doing
wait,
now,
wait,
brother,
wait.
You are dismissing
Jesse,
John 5:16.
wait a minute. Let me
5:16,
finish the passage.
because that's
Just
what you're doing,
because he said my father and I are one, it doesn't mean that they both are equally God. No. It just shows that they had the same what do you say, the same
Essence.
purpose. No essence. They didn't even have the same essence. Okay?
Yes. Brother,
One had a body, the other didn't have a body. It's not the same
brother,
essence.
But throughout this, I mean, I will call wonderful counselor, mighty God, eternal Father, Prince of Peace, and that was Jesus.
When was he
Christ.
called eternal father?
I just told you, Isaiah.
No, Isaiah was a prophecy. I'm asking you, when was he called eternal father? Is Jesus the father or is he the son?
Eternal Father, Prince of Peace.
Yeah. Did Jesus come for peace, by the way? Did Jesus come to bring peace?
So now you're going to use a parable to say that he didn't come to bring peace, but to set man against
I'm-
brother.
I'm asking you, what did Jesus say? Did Jesus say, I've come to bring peace? Or did he say, I've not come to bring peace, but the sword? Yes?
So what that means,
there you go.
You will know what that means,
The
brother?
Prince of Peace, he did not come to bring peace.
What that means, brother, is that
That's an irony.
to be a Christian is not going to be easy because you're going to be hated, you're going to be persecuted, and that's exactly what happened to the disciples after Jesus' ascension. That they were persecuted,
My friend,
and
look,
they were killed.
look here. All prophets were persecuted, and many were killed even by the same Jewish people. Yes?
Yes.
This is also mentioned in the Bible.
Yes.
And is also mentioned in the Islamic primary sources.
Yes.
Now what I'm saying is this. Why would you consider Jesus to be God when he himself is saying that I go to my God?
Because he's the Son of God.
No, he said I go to my God. So you're saying the Son of God has a God?
Because you are your mentality, brother. You are Unitarian. That's why you don't grasp it, brother.
No, it's not my mentality. That is Jesus speaking, not me.
Because, yeah,
that is Jesus. So you explain to me from a Trinitarian angle that why would a God have a God?
Galatians says that the fullness of God resides in Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and what does that mean?
The Godhead. Sorry.
What does it mean?
It means that he is the visible image of the invisible God.
So if he's fully God, why does he not know the hour? Why does he die like a mortal?
I already told you because
What?
he was comparing it to a Jewish wedding.
And that is not in the Bible. I've already told you.
Okay, listen, it's based on biblical scholars. You don't have
They
to
can
read it,
look,
brother.
in order for biblical scholars to harmonize things, they can bring up story of a Jewish wedding where the father only knows when the wedding date is, even though the bride and the groom know it. You're trying to imply that Jesus actually knew the hour, yet he said he didn't know the hour. You're trying to make Jesus into being basically insincere and telling a lie.
How?
Why? Because if you know something and you say I don't know, isn't that a lie?
Okay, but he is one
Answer my
God.
question. Answer my question. If you know something and you say I don't know, for example, if I ask you, where did you park your car? Yes, I want to ride with you, and you tell me no, I did not bring a car
Like,
today.
yeah, like-
wait. Hear me out.
like-
Hear me out. Hear
like
me
a-
out.
like a
Hear me
previous
out.
discussion,
Hear me out.
Hashim,
Hear me out.
you
Answer
know,
my
when-
question.
When we
When-
spoke about this
Yeah,
last time,
when I'm
and I
asking-
asked you, and I said like
No, you
he
didn't
had
answer.
limitations because he was a human being, and
You just said he was fully God now. What do you mean he had limitations?
now-
Is he fully God or is he a
now-
limited
he-
God? Which one is he?
he set aside the glory that he had with the Father. So
Was he
became a
fully
God.
God or was he limited
So
God?
now you know what you're doing right now, brother.
I'm not doing it. You're the one doing it.
It's now you are using red herrings.
What
changing the
red
topic.
herrings? You brought a Colossians
Changing the
2:9 in which it says, in Jesus, in his flesh, the fullness of the glory of God resides. Did he not mention that verse?
In Galatians.
Yes. Sorry, not Galatians, that's Colossians actually. Colossians 2:9, yeah? That's what is mentioned. And this is what it says. If he was fully God, why did he not know the hour?